Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm T with Teresa H Creates, and I wanted to do I was originally going to do just a project share with you guys, but as I started working through this particular project, there were some things that I was doing and some steps, some different directions I was going to go with it. So I decided that I would go ahead and start posting or start recording, and this is my inspiration. So I was watching Junking with GiGi, her channel, and she did a 12 by 12 journal cover with a single signature in it. And so I decided that looked really good, and it was a good way to use up some 12 by 12 paper. And then her inspiration came from a tutorial called Quick Journals with 12 by 12 paper. And that was by Treasure Books. And I'm subscribed to Treasure Books, so I'm surprised I didn't see it, Natasha over at Treasure Books. But I watched both videos. They were both really good. And so like I said, there was no purpose in kind of recreating the wheel there. So I was just going to take that inspiration and show you the project share. But like I said, I've been making some changes and thought I would go ahead and just kind of share the process that I'm going through with you. So I decided, because it's Christmas in July, that I would pull out one of the kits that I got from a recent haul. It was an estate sale haul, and it was one of the Christmas themed ones. I was really excited about it. And I won't show you that, but I'll post a link to the video where I did show you the contents of that haul. And it was using this Bow Bunny paper, and then also, I want to say it was Creative. Let me look through here real quick. Creative Imaginations, but it was the one that had specifically the iron orchid designs with it, because I had some beautiful transfers that I found, Christmas themed transfers that I found, and I wanted to use those with this whole project. So let me show you what I've got. I went ahead and prepped 8 of these. And like I said, as I was going through it, I was like, you know what? I think I want to record this. So it was going to be an 8 journal project share, but now I'm going to make another one with you on camera, just the base of this, and so that I can show you. So this is one of the transfers from the Iron Orchid designs that I had found. And so I transferred this onto old book page paper. And then I'm going to use those as the toppers for the journals themselves. And I wanted to go through the process of creating these and then showing you how I've been doing these. And then after that, I would do a second video to show just creating like the ephemera for it to put in the little pockets, and then also the different pages, because I had some ideas about what I wanted on these pages. I was originally going to keep it super simple. It'll still be a single signature, but I wanted to do something different with the pages that I was putting in there, decorate them up a little bit. And I have an idea in mind, and hopefully it comes together. So let me choose a piece of paper, one of these 12 by 12 pattern papers, and then I will show you how I made these bases, these covers. So let me set those aside. And I want something a little bit different than what I've already got. I have this side, but I could use this side. The one thing you have to be careful about is that you're going to flip up for a pocket, and so then that's going to make this upside down. But I think that we can still work around that. So I'm going to put that aside for maybe. I really, really like this side, and that might also work. I don't know how I feel about having the books on the inside, but a lot of that'll get covered up. This is cute, but it's going to get covered up again. So this is cute, but I don't think a lot of that is actually going to show, or will it? Oh, it might, but then I would hate to cover it up with an image. But maybe I don't have to. I don't know. So that's a maybe. Try not to. This is absolutely gorgeous. I may do this. That's beautiful. I don't think I have that. Pull these aside. These are all doubles. I have this one. Oh, this is another gorgeous one. Okay, maybe. I've got that one. I used this one. This one is not a good one just because of in my opinion. I have this one. I used this one. Did I use this one? I did not. That might make a cute one. Okay, and I did use this one. And then this is all just the solid cardstock. So I have a couple to choose from. Outside cover could be any one of these guys. Let me pull together what I've got here and just kind of see what would fit. I'm kind of thinking a darker green, since I've got all those reds in there, might be the way to go. So I'm going to pull out these two and set these aside. These are both Bow Bunny. And I think I'm going to go with this one because the other one had just those book pages and those books stacked, and a lot of that's going to get covered up. So first thing we need to do is cut this down, make sure it's an exact 12 by 12. And I would typically use my guillotine cutter, but it's across the room, so I'm just going to use my little Fiskars cutter here. But I cannot see anything because my eyeballs are getting old. So let me make sure I match this, line this up on the 12. So lined up on the 12. Yes. That doesn't look quite right. I think this is getting old. All right. I just want to make sure that it is going to be a true 12 by 12 size, because they aren't always a true 12 by 12 size. So let me set that aside. Put my branding strip to the side, and then I am going to take measurements. And so this is my trusty guide. It's I'm going to set this here. I just wrote it down real quick on a post-it note. And like I said, I took inspiration from both Junkin with GiGi and with Natasha from Treasure Books, from their examples. There were a couple of things each of them did that I liked, and then a couple of things that I thought, oh, I'm going to change that. So here we go. Super simple. I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch on each side. And I'm trying to be really careful with the pressure here, because when you have these plastic scorers, after some time, they can start to get worn and create kind of sharp edges. And I need to go to one of the little metal the little ballpoint scorers to use with this, because I've noticed that if I get too aggressive, then I do make, I do actually cut the paper with this on occasion. So I'm having to be really careful, just going over each of these lines several times. Okay, so then to make the spine of this journal cover, you're going to go 1/8 of an inch outside of the middle of the page, which is going to be a 6, because it's a 12 by 12. So 6 would be the middle. So I'm going to go 6 1/8, and then I'm going to go 5 7/8. So trying to be gentle again. And then let's see. 6 1/8, and that'll create that spine. All right, and now I'm going to turn it. This is the top side here. Make sure it's flush, and I'm going to do 1/2 inch here at the top. And this can really be modified so that you can make this any size that you want. And then I'm going to go 3 1/2 from here to make that pocket. So it's going to be 8 1/2. So I'm going in 3 1/2 inches. So 8 1/2, I'm going to score here. And there we go. That is it for the scoring. So really you can make this any size you want. I liked using the entire 12 by 12 packet, or page. So this was a really good one for me. It's kind of hard to see those score lines because I was having to be gentle. So let me go ahead and fold it up. Get these lines going. I'm going to use my bone folder to really burnish them. And then there's a 1/2 inch here. And then I'll show you the cuts, how we're going to cut this down. Now the spine. That's the tricky part. They're so it's so close together. And this paper is really dark, so making sure that I did not fold along the line. Making sure that I get that score line is important. All right. It is not folding very easily, so I'm going to go back to the score line or the scoreboard. It's a little bit more obvious. No, it just wants to. I don't know what I've done here. Fold it back on itself. All right. Hear my dog barking. I know. She's in her crate right now. And she is not happy about it. But she needs a little bit of a break. She's been a little bit of a handful. So we're trying to give her some quiet time while the family is out. I am home alone today, left to my own devices. And this is the roughest time I've had trying to get one of these folded. Honestly, guys, this is super simple. And I initially just creased this incorrectly, and it is not happy with me. I guess it's probably time to switch over to a different scoring tool so that this kind of thing doesn't happen. But at least you know mistakes happen, and you can always correct them. There we go. They can always be corrected. Okay. Got it finally, and now you can see the actual score line. There it is. Okay, this is going to be kind of hard to see when I make these cuts. I'll put this back up here. This isn't like exact or anything, so I'll kind of walk you through it as I do this, and then hopefully you can see some of this that's going on. So I do want to remove these little corners because we're going to fold those in, and I want to miter them just slightly so that when we fold them over, they tuck in just a little bit, and they're not exact corners, and I'll show you. So when we fold them over, they're going to look like this and have that nice little corner instead of folding over on top of each other. I don't like that look. If you like that look and it works well for you, then you do that. Because like I said, I'm not following everything exactly per GiGi or Natasha. So I was kind of making it my own. Now, something that GiGi did that I liked was for this little part here, you're going to remove this section here. But I'm going to go ahead and miter this because these are going to fold over. So I'm going to take them in just a little bit, and now I'm left with this little flap here like this. Now, Natasha cut hers off, but something that GiGi did was she went ahead and just cut in and made a little triangle in here. And she did that so that when she folded this over, she was going to have a little bit of protection on this because this is just regular double-sided 12 by 12 cardstock. So she was going to help kind of reinforce this edge here. And I liked that idea. So I'm going to keep that idea from her and go with that. So then one other thing is over here on the long side where you're going to create the pocket, you're going to go ahead and miter up to that score line. And again, up to the score line. And then this is going to disappear. Now I'm going to use my larger scissors for this because I don't cut very straight and I want to, it's going to be a long cut. I do want to miter it, but just slightly, and I'll show you. Why? So that whenever you fold it up, you want to check this is going to fold over on it. And if you go straight up that score line, it can get too close to this and create a lot of bunching, which won't let this lie flat, or you'd have to go back and you'd have to make some changes. So it was easier, and you've got some wiggle room here, so you can always just kind of take it in slowly if you're worried about cutting too much and having this pocket not fit. So you can always take it a little bit slowly when you're bringing it in. If you want to cut right down the line and then just kind of trim to bring it in a little bit, that's perfectly fine. But I double checked mine before I go any further to see. This one, I didn't cut as close, and you can still see some of the line there, and it's not bending. It's creating a little bit of a crinkle, so I'm going to go back about halfway and trim a little more. And then there you go. Now it fits. Both of them fit nicely. There we go. Now, to create this pocket, what I've been doing, so I am going to line up these envelopes, these envelope ends, and so that it's going in just a little bit the same, I'm going to, and you can still see that the shape is there, I'm going to go in slightly and cut them all the way up to the score line here. And this is so that they just have a similar pocket opening. So it's about the same this way. And then this part down here should be removed, but again, I'm going to just trim it. And then I am going to take these smaller scissors and I'm going to make the little triangle again so that I have the little piece here that will fold over to reinforce this edge. Okay, and so something else I did a little bit differently is I like these pockets. Let me remove all the trash. I do like this pocket here, and but I liked a little bit of a rounded edge, and I didn't have, you can't use your corner rounder on this, or at least I couldn't, the particular one that I have. I couldn't use my corner rounder on that. So what I did was I just took my little branding strip and I took my punch and I went ahead and made the size of the corner rounder that I wanted. I went ahead and did that, and then it created this little template for me. So then what I've been doing is just kind of putting it on this edge. Take my pencil, just kind of draw that corner there. I'm going to flip it and do the same on this side. Take it to the edge. And then I'll take my small scissors. And I've been trimming it. And there we go. And so now, when I fold it up, I have a nice little rounded corners. So I am going to ink the edges. I've been using the Tim Holtz Walnut Stain Distress ink for inking my edges. Where's my tool? There we go. And I'm just going to do the edges on the inside before I glue it down. This side doesn't need to be done because it's not going to be visible. If you do, though, it's not a big deal. And I'm a heavy-handed inker, so I'm going to keep going back to my little inker. Get these nice mitered corners, get these edges. I just think that this really helps tie it all together. Really makes the colors, I think, of the paper a little bit richer. I want to get that mitered corner there. And I like the little bit more distressed look. And then don't worry about all these little white edges and stuff. You'll be able to cover those up with the distress ink. So inking all the edges. Almost done. And then I'm going to ink that. But again, I don't have to get this line, and I've already done this top part, so we are done. We're done inking the edge of this. Find my lid, sorry. Make sure the top's back on that. Okay, now I'm going to start gluing this together, kind of assembling this. I'm going to use my art glitter glue. Glue these little guys down. And then I want to glue down this pocket just to make sure that it stays nice and tight inside. So I'm just going to do the edge of that pocket. And typically, not on the pockets anyway, but like on these mitered sides that I'm going to bring in a second, I typically would use tape and glue, a tape and glue combo. I wouldn't use it on the pockets just because the tape stays wet and you might catch your items that you put in the folders. But at least on these edges, I would use a combination of double-sided tape and the glue. But I used the double-sided tape that I had in my stash. I used it up in my most recent project, and I don't have any. I did order some for on Prime Day, but it hasn't been delivered yet. So I'm still waiting. And this doesn't, there's a small window in which this adheres. And so I'm kind of just burnishing these, making sure that the glue holds tight. That glue to hold down. All right, and since I am covering this side, I went ahead and put the top edges down first. Honestly, you can do it any way you wanted. You could, you know, fold them any way you wanted, but that's just the way I preferred for it to look. So that is what I have done. I'm going to shut my door real quick, and then hopefully that will reduce some of the sound. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that reduces some of the sound of the puppy barking. She's not really a puppy. She's an older dog, but we still call her puppy. She's tiny. And they're always your babies. She's usually pretty calm in her crate. But I think she hears me in here talking, and so she's like, why am I not with you? But we've got stuff out. My daughter's working on a painting project, and she's got stuff out on my floor, and we don't want her walking through it or anything. She's a blind puppers, so I don't want her walking through it and hurting herself or walking through paint and messing up my daughter's artwork. So now here's let me get my needle back into my art glitter glue. Okay, so then here is the base. Beautiful. And now I'm going to ink up the edges of this. And it'll cover up all those little bits of white. I don't think that the paper that I used for those samples was the Bo Bunny papers that I had in the collection. I think all of it were the Creative Imaginations papers. And so I think that's the difference. The paper's just, I think the Bo Bunny's just a little bit thinner, and so it just didn't fold as nicely. It didn't play along as well. So I think that's the difference. Anyhow, let me get the inside. Yeah, it feels a little thinner. Okay, that is done. Now, one thing you don't need to worry about is these little triangles here, because it's going to be covered by the signature. So it's really just to help kind of reinforce that little edge there, and it's not going to be seen in the end. So you don't really have to worry about that being a perfect cut or anything. So next what we're going to do is place the eyelets, and I'm going to show you how I did that. And I didn't use my Crocodile or anything. I did mine kind of old school. I pulled out all my old school stuff. So I'm going to kind of line this up. I created this little template. So this is just a piece of scrap paper that I had. I folded it in half, okay, and lengthwise, and I wrote top at the top, so I know that's the top of the paper. And then I folded it in half here, and I want to give it a nice big score. And then I folded it up to meet the middle. So I folded each end up to meet the middle. And then there's another little line here. So that's where it met the middle. And then I folded the end of it to that line. Does that make sense? And that's how I created my template for this. This is how I'll measure my, this is how I'll end up measuring my and I put the little dots where I wanted them. So I wanted them on the far ends and then right in the center. And this is how I'll also use to cut my holes, to prep my holes for my signatures when I'm ready to tie them in. And then this is the same thing I use for my eyelets. So I'm going to kind of measure them up here along this. And I want the top at the top, bottom at the bottom, make sure it's the right length. Then I'm taking my pencil and I'm making a mark in that spine right where each of those is. Now let me take out, I have this magic mat, and if you notice from my last, I think I was doing the owls and foxes video, this is the one that I ended up pulling out and was like, you know what, this has just seen better days. It's got so many cuts in it and everything. And I ended up using this. I'm going to start using this now for poking my holes for my signatures, and because I didn't, and then using it also for doing the actual hand tooling the holes for the eyelets and then fixing those in there, because I was using this, and this is a self-healing cutting mat, but I know that it doesn't really recover from putting eyelet holes in there. So this is going to be loud, so just a warning. But for any of you who have not used this, this is Making Memories. This is so old. I got this forever ago. I'm not sure where. I know you can still buy these kits though, but look, even this junk here is falling apart. But it's got the little eyelet sizes that you can move to the larger eyelets, to the smaller ones. And I'm going to use the smaller. So I want to kind of line these up in the middle. I think this is good. 2 baps and it's done. 2 baps and it's done. And then this one's a little tricky because this one's where I got that. And there we go. Now I'm going to choose my eyelets. I went ahead and pulled some aside to prep for this. And now I just have to figure out, those are green, so I'm not going to use those. And then I think I like these guys, these kind of bronzy colored ones here. Yeah, those match. I'm going to use those. So now I'm going to put the eyelet in and I'm going to set it. It'll set in a couple of whacks. So again, it's going to be a loud noise. So this is the eyelet setter. So I'm going to make sure that that middle section there fits into the center of this eyelet. And then when I beat it with the hammer here, it's going to splay it to keep it attached. So it's going to get loud. 2 hits and it's done. I only have 3 of these, so it's done. Oops. And done. And that's how you use the old-fashioned. That's how I started out before the crocodile and everything. That's how I started out setting all of my eyelets, was that way. So went kind of old school with that one, back to basics. So there they are. They're lined up, ready to go. And here's the folder. And you know, I was kind of thinking you can make these any way you want. And instead of having a folder where you would slip ephemera in, and I'm just kind of thinking off the cuff here. Let me find something. It's a little stiffer. Let me take that off. So instead of having a folder where you can slip things in, what if you closed that off and just did that? And you could make a little notch here. I'm going to try it. Let's try it. Let's give it a try real quick. Let's give it a try. All right. I'll try to be quick with this. Just want to see if it'll work. Why don't we do this so we have a nice gold? Be a nice gold. Let me line this up. Get a 12 by 12 on it. I'm going to try to go fairly quickly. I know I'm keeping you guys. So, but you get to see the process again here. 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. In the middle, so 6 1/8. 5 7/8. One half at the top. And then 9 1/2 here for the pocket. Oops, hear that? I kind of cut into that. You can see it on this side. But we're going to go with it because I'm just playing around with this one anyway. I don't know if this one's going to quite work or not. Let's go ahead and start with the folds, because this is more of that Bow Bunny paper, so I don't know how it's going to do. I'm gonna, okay, so that did. I'm gonna use my bone folder to burnish that down. That side worked, and then let's try the other side. And it looks like if I do it like a little bit at a time. Now, when I was working with the other paper, it's a little bit thicker. Like I said, that cardstock was a little thicker, so it folded very nicely. I didn't have any issues with it. But again, I'm also kind of trying to be a little bit gentler with my scoring tool, like I said, because it's got some sharp ends now from wear and tear, and I either need to get a new one or I need to move to a metal bone folder or a metal scoring tool, which I think I have somewhere in my stash. I'll just have to pull it out. I've just been using that one because it came with the actual scoreboard, and it fits right up top, so it doesn't ever get lost. So that was the reason why I've been holding on to that one. So again, I'm just trying. The reason I'm doing this again is because I wanted to see if we could create a different pocket. Did I not score that line? There we go. Wanted to see if we could create a different pocket type that I had not considered and was just kind of thinking of off the cuff there. So being a little wild. All right. On this side, we're still going to do this one the same. We're going to miter these corners, so slightly out. Kind of having to change the angle here just so that I can kind of see it with the light. I need to get reading glasses, and I haven't done it yet. And yeah, I really need to. Might be easier to see on this side because this is lighter. So I'm gonna miter. Now I've got this little flap, and then I'm going to go in and create a little triangle to protect our spine, the edge of our spine. There and there. Okay. Now this I'm going to do the same. I'm going to miter in, and I'm going to miter there. Okay. So thinking through this, I was thinking of making this a pocket. So this part is going to be removed. So it's just how do I cut along this side? So one of the things I did, because I was creating the inside pocket, let me pull this out for example. I used this and folded it over because you could certainly, if you wanted to make this pocket wider, more open, if you moved this to glue on top of this part that's folded over here, it would make a wider, more open pocket. But then you run the risk of things just kind of sliding around in there. And so I wanted the pocket to be a little bit tighter. So that's why I closed it. I closed it up on the ends here instead of putting the pocket outside here, which would make that a little bit more open. So as I'm thinking through this, instead of cutting in at an angle to make these wide parts here, I'm going to keep it pretty close, but just off. So I'm going to make individual cuts. So let me see. So I'm going to use the big scissors, and I'm going to cut just on the other side, of the score line. All the way up to the 3.5 inch score line. Okay. And then I'm going to cut here. And then this is where I'm going to make my little triangle to protect my spine, to reinforce the edge of that spine. So that works. Okay. Now, I think that I'm going to end up putting this on the outside here. Let me cut it and see. Let me cut it and see. So I'm going to cut it pretty close to the edge. So just on the other side of the score line. I'm committing. Okay. So if I do this and I close it up and I close it up here, this is kind of what this pocket looks like. But if I close this up and put it on the edge, then I feel like I have a little bit more room on this pocket. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. So I want to make sure that this is a straight line. Same here. It's a little easier to see this on this side. So I'm just going onto the inside of that score line. Oops. And there. And I did a better job on this side than I did on this side, but because that pattern is so close to each other, it's not going to matter. And then I want to make sure the insides of these need to be trimmed just a tad, because I could tell when I folded it up that they were both going into the, they were both traveling into the spine a little bit. So I'm going to trim both of these up just a little. Okay. Now let's see. And both of those are outside of the score line. And then this one, because this is going to be a straight angle, I can trim the corners of these. No. Okay, I'm going to do the larger one. Let me flip it over because I'm not getting it quite in there right. There we go. Let me try this one. There we go. And then this one. Okay. So let's ink the edges and see what we've got. I'm going to ink the edges. And this is a pretty color. This walnut stain is a pretty color with this gold. Okay, and I'm going to ink all of the edges of these pockets because they are going to be visible. I feel like I'm leaving something out. I feel like I didn't do something quite right, but I guess we'll figure it out once I start to glue it down. You probably have seen what I'm missing, and I'm just not seeing it yet. Send me good vibes. Maybe I'll figure it out here in a second. I'm missing something, All right, we're ready to glue. Oh, I'm missing my notches. Hello. Let me grab my circle punch. That's what it was. I was going to make notches here. So I'm going to go center it up, cut little notches. All right, let me go back and ink around this so that is obviously a pocket. I've got all kinds of debris everywhere now. I appreciate you hanging out with me while I'm exploring ideas here. The idea for this little pocket just kind of came to me, and I thought we'd give it a try. Now, since I'm putting these pockets over this flap, I am going to put this side over. So we're going to do the ends of this first. I wish I had that double-sided tape to use with this. It takes a minute for this art glitter glue to hold. So I kind of have to massage it a little bit before it sticks. And I'm good to go. But just, I mean seconds. So it's really not that big of a deal. And again, here, and then we're going to put this down. Oops. Hold it down, give it a massage, let it stick. Go. Honestly, there are probably so many different things that you can do. I mean, you can cut this paper down to size to make this a smaller version anyway if you wanted to. You can make these pockets larger or smaller if you wanted to. So it's all about just where you score. So, I mean, really, you can make this your own. You can do a lot of exploring with this, a lot of playing, and really make this something special. So I'm only going to do up this side, up this side. And then that's our little pocket. Fantastic. That's super cute. I like that. I like that. Now I wish I'd done a few of the others this way, had a little bit of variation. Oops. Get those down. So pretty. Okay. Let me get this needle back in this glue. This needle has seen better days. I still haven't found the extra needles I had in my stash, although I haven't really looked that hard, but I do need to find them so that I can get the proper needle in there, and it'll be a little easier to find. You have to use the stainless steel needles with that glue, so not just any needle will work, because if it's not stainless steel, then it ends up rusting and discolors that glue, which generally it dries clear, so that's just not the look you want if you're particularly if you're a messy gluer like myself and you don't want rust colored glue everywhere. All right, that is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What do you think? I'd like to know your opinions on that different pocket, whether you like the pocket with the notches. And I don't know, for some reason, to me, I think it fits. It fits with the books. I don't know why, but to me, it just looks like a library pocket maybe. And it fits with the books that are inside, on the inside of this one. I think I've got everything. I think it looks good. And while you're inking, you'll notice that some of the edges sometimes will get they're kind of frayed and out there, and you can always just go back and trim those. That's not a big deal. And then go back over them with the ink, because it happens on occasion, just from the folding process, that you'll get a little bit of that paper fiber out there. And then you can just go back and get that edge again. Cover it up, no biggie. So that is that. I am not going to make you go through the whole eyelet setting thing again. I can do that off camera, not a big deal. But there you go. So I ended up with, instead of 8 for my project share, let me grab my other books. I ended up with 10 now, right? 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I think that gold and that darker green fit in there nicely. So I will go ahead and I will put eyelets in this one. So we'll be ready to go next time. In part 2 of the video, I wanted to go over prepping the pages for this because it's just a single signature. I'll probably do 10 pages in the signature, so there'll be 20 individual pages all the way across. And then we'll do the toppers for these. And let me just go ahead and show you this part of it. In another haul, I had picked these up for Iron Orchid Designs. They were fairly, I think it was like $23 for these, but they're these transfers, and it was the Fairy Merry Christmas transfers. And I thought these were absolutely gorgeous. And so I have selected some and went ahead and put them in my French. I have a French, I think, pronunciation dictionary. And the reason I thought this was so cool is because this is Iron Orchid Designs transfers. I bought them at a completely separate company. It was just like a little boutique inside an antique mall around here. And I bought them there, but the paper that came in that kit, some of the papers were specifically Iron Orchid Designs, and they're from way back when. I think it was 2015 the paper's from. So I put these in here because I went ahead and transferred these. Put these transfers in this French dictionary book, and I marked them so I knew where they were. I did this upside down. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, that was one of them. Here they are. Aren't they gorgeous? So I went ahead and transferred these on. This book is so delicate. I don't want to. And then here is another. Isn't she gorgeous? I used a wreath on that last one because I have some more of the little girls, but a couple of them were just, they didn't have a lot of the holly with it. They had a lot of mushrooms, and mushrooms just don't scream Christmas to me. I guess I could probably decorate around it and make it, put some flowers or something, some poinsettias down there, and make it feel a little bit more Christmassy instead of that. But these were all the right size, and that's why I used those. This is another one of the larger ones. But I'll match these up. In the next video, we'll work on matching these up and getting them onto the fronts of those journals. And then that was the last one. So those are absolutely gorgeous. Oh, and I'll have to choose another one now, or another two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So yes, I'll have to choose one more to go into the book, to transfer into the book. That's a pretty one. See, here were the other girls, and they didn't have a lot of holly or anything with them. They mostly had mushrooms. And then there were these, which are gorgeous, and this one has the little Christmas tree, but they didn't have, they're not very big, which, you know what, may not matter. Maybe I'll use one of the Christmas trees. Let me trim this up. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if I was to put this on here. Do we want it to like blendy blend, or do we want it to, I think I'm going to do this one because I don't want it to blend too much. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this into the book. And then for those of you who don't work with transfers very often, let me just go ahead and show you what that looks like. So let me get my book. And again, this is really old. It's a French pronunciation dictionary. Let me open it up. Any page, for me anyway, any page will do. So I'm going to remove this backing here. And this is kind of sticky on the back of this, which will help it adhere to the page. And then I have, they provided this little transfer tool. And so what I've been doing is putting this on and then burnishing it down to make sure it transfers well. Then I've been taking the edge and really burnishing around the edges of the image to make sure that it's on there. Now, the thing about this is that because it's sticky and this book page is so old, I have to find a spot where it's going to come up, because a lot of times what happens is it pulls up, and this shouldn't happen with most of the transfers that you do. It's just that because this book page in particular is so old, it hasn't, I can't even get to the edge. It tends to, so there we go. So when it starts to pull up and you get that milky look, that's when you know it's a good transfer. And I'm going to do it kind of slowly because I want to make sure, like this part was coming up because it was just tearing up the book page with it because it was getting sticky. And so a lot of times if you're going to use a substrate that's really thin, it helps to kind of go in from the side or go in from a larger section. And instead of pulling away from that, because no amount of burnishing is going to fix it because it's actually pulling up and separating from the book page itself, then you have to go from an opposite direction whenever you're pulling it. And then that way, you know, it'll come up just fine. And I think that'll look really pretty. And I'll end up, I'm going to tear edges of the paper anyway. So why not? That way we can see there. And so we'll end up making some toppers. So that'll be the next tutorial, will be signatures and toppers, and we'll be good to go. And I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you got something out of that, learned something new, enjoyed the creative process anyway, and all my last minute changes, my little snafus, all of it. There you go. If you like this video, please hit the like button. And if you are a subscriber, I really appreciate your support. If you have not subscribed, please do so that it helps me out and helps grow my channel. Until next time, bye.